Ladies and gentlemen, before I say anything else, I want you to understand something very clearly. You did not enter this year by accident. You did not stumble into this season. You did not wake up one morning and suddenly find yourself standing at the door of a new year by coincidence. No, you were carried here, you were preserved here, you were intentionally escorted into this year by the very force of life itself. A force that does nothing casually and wastes nothing deliberately. Out of the billions of possibilities that could have unfolded, out of every circumstance that could have ended your journey, out of every challenge that threatened to break you, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still capable of hearing these words and receiving this message.
That is not luck. That is not chance. That is evidence of something far greater at work in your life. The greatest mistake, and most people make at the beginning of a new year, they treat time as common and seasons as automatic.
But time is sacred, and seasons are assigned. Every year you enter carries an expectation. Every season you survive carries a demand. And I came to announce to you today, whether you are ready or not, you did not come into this year to remain the same. If life wanted you comfortable, it would have left you where you were. If life wanted you stagnant, it would have allowed last year to finish you. If life wanted you average, it would not have sustained you through pressure. The fact that you are still alive, still standing, still breathing, means your story has not finished yet. It means there are chapters yet to be written. It means there are victories yet to be won. It means there is a version of you that has not yet emerged, and this year is calling that version forward. Understand this, is time never advances without advancing responsibility. When you move into a new year, you are not being given a vacation, you are being issued an assignment. You are not being rewarded with more time to waste. You are being entrusted with more time to invest. Every single day you wake up is not just another 24 hours to survive. It is another 24 hours to become, to grow, to transform, to step closer to the person you were always meant to be. But most people enter a new year with the same thinking, the same habits, the same excuses, and the same fears, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Let me tell you something that might be difficult to hear, but it is necessary for your transformation. Nothing in your life will change until you change. Your circumstances will not shift until your mindset shifts. Your results will not improve until your actions improve. Your future will not be different from your past until you become different from who you have been. A new year does not change your life. A new mindset does. A new calendar does not transform you. A new vision does. Time does not upgrade purpose, action does. You did not come into this year to remain the same. Life did not orchestrate your survival through the challenges of yesterday just so you could carry the same limitations, the same mindset, the same defeated attitude into your tomorrow. No. The very fact that you are breathing right now, that your heart is beating, that you have been given another opportunity to witness a new day, this is evidence that there is an agenda for transformation in your life. Every new season in your life is an invitation for change. It is not an accident that you are here. It is not coincidence that you have been preserved. You are being kept because there is unfinished business with your potential. There are purposes that have not yet been fulfilled through you. There are contributions that only you can make. There are lives that only you can touch. There are problems that only you can solve. And if you think you can enter this new chapter of your life and remain comfortable in the old version of yourself, you have misunderstood the nature of purpose. Purpose is not passive. Purpose is not patient with procrastination. Purpose demands expression. Purpose demands action. Purpose demands that you become the vessel through which it can flow into the world. One of the greatest tragedies I have witnessed in my years of leadership and observation is watching people celebrate survival without pursuing transformation. They are grateful to be alive, yes, but they have no intention of becoming alive to their purpose. They thank life for bringing them into a new year, but they plan to live it exactly like the old year. They want new results with old habits. They want new opportunities with old mindsets. They want breakthrough while holding on to breakdown thinking. And my friends, this is impossible. You cannot harvest what you have not planted. You cannot reap transformation if you continue to sow stagnation. You cannot expect your life to be different if you refuse to do anything differently. Life is not interested in maintaining your status quo. Nature is not in the business of preservation without progression. The universe, which created galaxies and designed the intricate complexity of human DNA, which orchestrates the seasons with perfect precision, this force does not do anything without purpose, without progression, without transformation in mind. Look at nature and learn its lessons. When winter transitions to spring, does nature remain the same? Do the trees simply survive, or do they burst forth with new life, new blossoms, new fruit? The tree does not cling to its winter state. It does not say, I have survived the cold and that is enough. No, the tree responds to the new season by producing new growth. It understands instinctively that survival is not the goal, flourishing is the goal. When a caterpillar enters the cocoon, does it emerge as a slightly improved caterpillar? Does it come out with better colors or stronger legs, but essentially the same creature? No. It undergoes complete metamorphosis. It becomes something entirely different, something that can fly, something that can see the world from perspectives it never imagined possible. The caterpillar does not resist this transformation. It does not cling to its identity as a caterpillar. It surrenders to the process, trusting that what it will become is far greater than what it has been. This is what is intended for you in this season. Not modification, not slight improvement, but metamorphosis. Complete transformation. A total renewal of your mind, your vision, your capacity, and your impact. But here is the difference between you and the caterpillar. The caterpillar has no choice. Its transformation is automatic, programmed into its DNA. Your transformation, however, requires your participation. It requires your decision. It requires your cooperation with the process. You have been given the gift and the burden of choice. You can choose to remain the same, and life will allow you to make that choice. But you will also have to live with the consequences of that choice. The frustration of unfulfilled potential, the regret of wasted opportunities, the quiet desperation of knowing you were meant for more but settled for less. Or you can choose transformation. You can choose to embrace the discomfort of growth. You can choose to release what no longer serves you and reach for what is calling you forward. You can choose to become who you were always meant to be. The choice is yours. But make no mistake, you will choose. Even not choosing is a choice. Even staying the same is a decision. And every decision has consequences that extend far beyond the moment of choosing. Why many people resist this transformation? It is because change is uncomfortable. Growth requires you to stretch beyond the boundaries of your current comfort zone. Transformation demands that you let go of the familiar, even when the familiar is killing you slowly. Human beings have this strange tendency to prefer the pain they know over the potential they don't know. We would rather stay in bondage to the familiar than venture into the freedom of the unknown. We cling to relationships that drain us because at least we know what to expect. We hold on to jobs that suffocate our potential because at least they are predictable. We maintain habits that destroy us slowly because at least they are comfortable. This is the trap of familiarity. It whispers to you that safety lies in sameness, that security is found in the status quo. But this is a lie. There is no safety in stagnation. There is no security in refusing to grow. The comfort zone is not actually comfortable. It is a prison disguised as a sanctuary. But I want to challenge that thinking today. I want to disrupt that comfortable dysfunction, because the truth is, remaining the same is not actually comfortable. It is suffocating. When you refuse to grow, you begin to die. When you resist transformation, you start to decay. You may not feel it immediately, but over time, the gap between who you are and who you were created to be becomes a source of deep, profound dissatisfaction. Have you ever felt that restlessness in your spirit? That sense that there is more to life than what you are currently experiencing? That feeling that you are capable of greater things, but somehow you are trapped in cycles of mediocrity? That nagging voice that whispers in the quiet moments telling you that this is not all there is? That frustration that rises up when you see others achieving what you know you could achieve if only you would try? That sadness that settles over you when another year passes and you realize you are no closer to your dreams than you were 12 months ago? That, my friend, is not depression. That is not discontent for the sake of being negative. That is the voice of your unfulfilled potential calling out to you. That is your destiny knocking on the door of your consciousness saying, wake up, it's time to become who you were meant to be. Your potential is not patient. It will not wait forever. Every day you delay your transformation, your potential grows more restless. Every year you postpone your growth, your destiny becomes more urgent. There is a window of opportunity for your life. And while I do not want to create panic, I do want to create urgency. The time for your transformation is not someday. The time for your transformation is now. You did not come into this year to remain the same, because the world desperately needs what is inside of you. There are people whose lives will never be touched, whose problems will never be solved, whose destinies will never be activated until you become who you were designed to be. Let that sink in for a moment. Your transformation is not just about you. It has never been just about you. You are connected to a web of lives that extends far beyond your immediate vision. Your growth creates ripples that touch shores you cannot see. Your transformation unlocks doors for people you have not yet met. There's a child somewhere who needs the book you have not yet written. There is a struggling entrepreneur who needs the business you have not yet built. There is a broken soul who needs the words of encouragement you have not yet spoken. There is a community that needs the leadership you have not yet provided. Your transformation is not selfish. It is one of the most generous things you can do. When you become who you were meant to be, you create permission for others to do the same. When you break through your limitations, you show others that breakthrough is possible. When you refuse to settle, you challenge the culture of mediocrity around you. Your transformation is not just about you. It is about the generation that is waiting for your contribution. It is about the problems that only your unique gifts can solve. It is about the void in the world that has your name on it. Purpose is the original intent for the creation of a thing. It is the reason why something was made. And here is the key. You cannot discover your purpose by looking at your present circumstances. You cannot define your value by examining your current condition. To understand why you were made, you must understand intent, design, and vision for your life. You are not an accident. You are not a random collection of atoms that happen to come together by chance. You are intentional. You are designed. You are purposed. Every gift you have, every talent you possess, every passion that burns within you, these are clues to your purpose. They are hints from the universe about why you are here and what you are meant to contribute. And when you study the nature of life, you discover something remarkable. Nothing is created without intending for it to grow, to expand, to increase, to multiply. This is the law of life. Everything that has life in it has a built-in capacity for growth. The acorn becomes the oak tree, the seed becomes the harvest, the infant becomes the adult. Growth is not optional, it is fundamental to the nature of life itself. Consider the acorn for a moment. Within that tiny seed is encoded the entire blueprint for a massive oak tree. The acorn does not have to figure out how to become an oak tree. It simply has to be planted in the right soil, receive the right nutrients, and allow the process of growth to unfold. The potential for the oak was always within the acorn, it just needed the right conditions to be expressed. You are like that acorn. Within you is encoded the blueprint for something magnificent. Your potential is not something you have to create. It is something you have to release. It is already within you, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. And those conditions are created by your decisions, your disciplines, your commitments, and your willingness to grow. So when you resist growth, when you refuse transformation, when you insist on remaining the same, you are actually violating a fundamental law of life. You are working against the design embedded in your very DNA. And this is why stagnation feels so wrong, because it is wrong. It is contradictory to the purpose for which you were created. Have you ever seen a plant that refuses to grow toward the light? Have you ever witnessed a river that refuses to flow toward the ocean? Have you ever observed an animal that refuses to mature into its full expression? Of course not. Because everything in nature understands that growth is not optional, it is essential to life itself. Only human beings with our gift of choice can decide to resist our own growth. Only we can choose stagnation over transformation. Only we can prefer the familiar prison to the unfamiliar freedom. And this is why so many people live lives of quiet desperation, knowing deep down that they were meant for more, but refusing to pay the price of becoming more. Transformation does not happen by accident. It happens by decision and discipline. Let me give you some keys to activate the transformation that is calling you in this season. First, you must renew your mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind is the gateway to your transformation. If your thinking does not change, your life will not change. It is impossible to live differently than you think. Your actions are always preceded by your thoughts. Your habits are the product of your mindset. Your future is being created by your thought patterns right now. This is perhaps the most fundamental truth of transformation. You become what you think about. Your thoughts are not just passive observations of reality. They are active creators of your reality. What you focus on expands. What you think about consistently becomes your experience. What you believe about yourself becomes your identity. If you think you are incapable, you will act incapably and produce incapable results. If you think you are unworthy, you will behave unworthily and attract unworthy circumstances. If you think you are limited, you will live within those limits and never discover what lies beyond them. But the reverse is also true. If you think you are capable, you will take capable actions and produce capable results. If you think you are worthy, you will carry yourself with worth and attract worthy opportunities. If you think you are unlimited, you will push beyond previous boundaries and discover capabilities you never knew you had. So I challenge you, what are you feeding your mind? What books are you reading? What content are you consuming? Who are you listening to? What conversations are you having? What thoughts are you allowing to take up residence in your mental space? Because whatever you expose your mind to consistently will shape your thinking, and your thinking will determine your trajectory. If you want to transform your life, you must first transform your thinking. You must begin to think like the person you are becoming, not like the person you have been. This is not positive thinking in some superficial sense. This is not about pretending problems do not exist or ignoring the challenges you face. This is about deliberately choosing the thoughts that will serve your growth rather than defaulting to the thoughts that keep you stuck. Every morning you have a choice. You can wake up and immediately begin thinking about all the reasons why your life is difficult, why your goals are impossible, why you will probably fail. Or you can wake up and deliberately focus on your possibilities, your potential, your capacity for growth. Both sets of thoughts are available to you. Both are waiting for your attention. But only one will lead you toward transformation. Only one will move you closer to the person you were meant to become. Second, you must be willing to let go of what no longer serves your future. This is perhaps the most difficult part of transformation. We hold on to relationships, habits, mindsets, and even identities that are anchored in our past, and we wonder why we cannot move into our future. You cannot move forward effectively while carrying the weight of everything behind you. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying heavy bags filled with rocks. Every step would be a struggle. Every forward movement would require enormous effort. You might make some progress, but you would never reach your full speed. You would never experience the freedom of running unencumbered. This is what many people do with their lives. They try to move into their future while carrying the baggage of their past. They hold on to old wounds, old failures, old identities, old relationships, and they wonder why transformation feels so difficult. There are friendships you must release, not because the people are bad, but because they are connected to a version of you that no longer exists. Some relationships were meant for a season, not a lifetime. Some connections were valuable for where you have been, but are not compatible with where you are going. Holding on to them is not loyalty, it is self-sabotage. There are habits you must abandon, not because you want to be rigid, but because they are inconsistent with the person you are becoming. The late nights that steal your morning productivity, the mindless scrolling that consumes hours of your precious time, the comfort eating that undermines your health, the procrastination that delays your progress. These habits serve some purpose in your past, perhaps as coping mechanisms or sources of temporary pleasure, but they are not compatible with your transformation. There are mindsets you must discard, not because they were wrong for where you have been, but because they are inadequate for where you are going. The scarcity thinking that sees limitations everywhere. The victim mentality that blames circumstances for your results. The fear of failure that keeps you from taking risks. The need for approval that makes you compromise your authentic self. These mindsets may have protected you in the past, but they are prisons for your future. Listen to me. You cannot fit the new wine of your vision into the old wineskins of yesterday's limitations. The new requires new. Transformation demands that you create space for what life wants to bring into your experience by releasing what needs to be removed from your life. This is not easy. Letting go never is. There is a grief that accompanies growth, a mourning of the old self that must occur before the new self can fully emerge. Do not be surprised if transformation feels like loss before it feels like gain. Do not be alarmed if growth feels like death before it feels like life. This is the natural process of metamorphosis. The caterpillar must completely dissolve its old form before it can become the butterfly. The seed must break open and die to its seed identity before it can become the plant. The old must pass away before the new can come. But here is the promise that makes the pain worthwhile. What you become will always be greater than what you leave behind. What emerges from the cocoon of your transformation will always be more magnificent than what entered it. The butterfly does not mourn for its caterpillar days. It soars on wings it could never have imagined in its crawling state. Third, you must surround yourself with people who call forth your future, not your past. Show me your friends, and I will show you your future. Show me who you spend time with, and I will tell you who you are becoming. This is not about being elitist or thinking you are better than others. This is about being strategic with your associations, because you understand that influence is real and impact is inevitable. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not just a clever saying. It is a principle that has been observed throughout human history. We become like those we associate with. Their thoughts become our thoughts. Their standards become our standards. Their limitations become our limitations, or their expansions become our expansions. You need people in your life who see your potential even when you cannot see it yourself. You need mentors who have been where you are trying to go, who can show you the path because they have walked it themselves. You need peers who are also committed to growth and excellence, who will run alongside you rather than holding you back. You need relationships that challenge you, stretch you, inspire you, and sometimes make you uncomfortable because they remind you that you are capable of more. And equally important, you must distance yourself from people who are comfortable with your stagnation. You know these people. They are the ones who always have a reason why you should not try something new. They remind you of your failures whenever you talk about your dreams. They are content with mediocrity, and they want you to be content too, because your transformation makes them uncomfortable about their own lack of growth. These people are not necessarily evil. They may even love you in their own way, but their love is a love that wants you to stay the same, to remain predictable, to continue being the person they have always known. They are threatened by your growth because it exposes their own stagnation. They discourage your transformation because it challenges their choice to remain unchanged. You must love these people from a distance. You must appreciate them for who they are while refusing to let them define who you become. You must have the courage to outgrow relationships that no longer serve your growth, even when it is painful, even when it is misunderstood. You must take action even when you do not feel ready. One of the greatest lies that keeps people trapped in the same place year after year is the belief that they need to feel ready before they move. Let me tell you something. You will never feel completely ready for the next level of your life. Growth always requires you to step into spaces of discomfort, uncertainty, and inadequacy. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in the presence of fear. Confidence does not come before competence, it comes through competence, which only develops through action. The most successful people in history were not people who felt ready for their challenges. They were people who acted despite not feeling ready. They stepped into arenas that terrified them. They attempted things that seemed impossible. They began journeys whose endings they could not see. You are not called because you are ready. You are called and then you become ready through the process. Your decision to move activates the resources to sustain you. Your willingness to try releases the power to succeed through you moving forward. It's not about having all the answers before you start. It is about starting even when you do not have all the answers, because you trust that the path will reveal itself along the way. Think about learning to walk as a child. Did you wait until you felt ready? Did you analyze all the variables and calculate your probability of success? Did you develop a comprehensive plan for balance and coordination before taking your first step? Of course not. You simply stood up and tried. You fell. You got up and tried again. You fell again. And you kept trying until walking became natural. This is how all growth works. You learn by doing. You become ready by beginning. You develop confidence by taking action. Before you feel confident, the path appears under your feet as you walk it. Vision is the picture of the future that produces passion in the present. Without vision, people perish. Without a clear picture of who you are becoming, you will default back to who you have been. You need to see yourself transformed before you can become transformed. You need to imagine yourself living at the level of your potential before you can actually live there. Vision is not just imagination. Vision is imagination with intention. It is not just dreaming, it is dreaming with direction. Vision takes the raw material of your desires and shapes them into a clear picture of your preferred future. Great achievers throughout history have always seen their success before it manifested. Athletes visualize their victories before competitions. They see themselves crossing the finish line, standing on the podium, holding the trophy. They experience the victory in their minds before they experience it in reality. And this mental rehearsal prepares them for the physical achievement. Entrepreneurs envision their empires before breaking ground. They see the buildings that do not yet exist, the teams that have not yet been hired, the customers that have not yet been served. They live in their vision even as they work to make it reality. Artists see their masterpieces before touching the canvas. The sculpture exists in the mind before the chisel touches the stone. The symphony is heard internally before a single note is played externally. Creation always begins in the invisible realm of imagination before it manifests in the visible realm of reality. The vision always precedes the reality. What is your vision for this year? Not your goals, your vision. Goals are important, but vision is bigger than goals. Goals tell you what you want to achieve. Vision tells you who you want to become. Goals are about having, vision is about being. Who is the person you see when you imagine yourself fully transformed? What does that person think like? How do they carry themselves? What habits do they have? What impact are they making? How do they treat others? How do they respond to challenges? What is their morning routine? What books are on their shelf? What conversations do they have? Get specific. Get detailed. The clearer your vision, the more power it has to pull you toward it. A vague vision produces vague results. A clear vision produces clear progress. Write it down. Make it plain. Look at it daily. Because the more clearly you can see it, the more naturally you will become it. You must understand that transformation is a process, not an event. Many people get discouraged in their journey of change because they expect instant results. They want microwave transformation in a slow cooker process. But lasting change does not happen overnight. It happens through consistent daily decisions to choose growth over comfort, progress over stagnation, purpose over popularity. We live in an age of instant gratification. We can order food and have it delivered in minutes. We can access any information in seconds. We can communicate with anyone in the world instantly. This convenience is wonderful, but it has created an expectation that everything should happen quickly, including transformation. But transformation does not work like that. There is no app that will transform your character overnight. There is no hack that will shortcut your growth. There is no magic formula that will instantly turn you into the person you were meant to be. Transformation requires time, patience, and persistent effort. Every day, you are either growing or dying. Every decision you make is either moving you toward your potential or away from it. There is no neutral ground in life. You are either progressing or regressing. So the question is not whether you will change. Change is inevitable. The question is whether you will direct that change or simply allow life to happen to you. This is what it means to be intentional. Intentionality is the difference between people who transform and people who simply get older. Intentional people make decisions today based on who they want to become tomorrow. They do not wait for motivation. They create discipline. They do not hope for change. They engineer it through deliberate choices. Every morning is an opportunity. Every day is a canvas. Every moment is a choice. What will you do with today? Will you invest it in your growth or waste it in distraction? Will you take one step toward your vision or remain standing in place? Will you make today count or let it pass like all the others? The compound effect of daily decisions is staggering. Small choices made consistently over time produce massive results. The person who reads for 30 minutes each day will read dozens of books over a year. The person who exercises for an hour each day will transform their body over a year. The person who invests in their skills for 2 hours each day will become an expert over a year. But the reverse is also true. The person who wastes an hour on social media each day will waste hundreds of hours over a year. The person who chooses comfort over challenge each day will become weaker over a year. The person who avoids growth each day will stagnate over a year. Small hinges swing big doors. Small decisions create big destinies. Transformation is not about making one huge change. It is about making countless small changes consistently over time. You must celebrate progress, not just perfection. One of the ways we stay trapped in cycles of stagnation is by believing that if we cannot be perfect, we should not try at all. This is a lie. Transformation is not about being perfect. It is about being better today than you were yesterday. Perfectionism is not excellence. It is fear in disguise. It is the fear of failure masquerading as high standards. It is the fear of judgment dressed up as self-improvement. And it is one of the greatest enemies of transformation because it prevents you from starting, delays your progress, and robs you of the joy of growth. Give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. Acknowledge the progress you are making, even when it seems small. Every step forward counts. Every old habit you break is a victory. Every new mindset you adopt is progress. Every moment you choose growth over comfort is transformation in action. The person who celebrates small wins builds momentum. The person who demands perfection builds frustration. Momentum leads to more progress. Frustration leads to quitting. Choose to celebrate your progress, and you will have more progress to celebrate. Do not compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Do not measure your beginning against someone else's middle. Run your own race. Focus on your own transformation. Life is not asking you to be like anyone else. It is asking you to become the fullest expression of who you were meant to be. Some of you are sitting here today and you are thinking, but you do not know my past. You do not know what I have done, what has been done to me, where I have come from. And you are right, I do not know your specific story, but I know this. Your past does not have the power to determine your future unless you give it that power. Your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. It is meant to be learned from, not lived in. Whatever happened to you, whatever you did, whatever was done to you, that was a chapter in your story, but it does not have to be the whole story. You have the power to write new chapters. You have the authority to change the narrative. You have the ability to create a future that redeems your past. History is filled with people who transform despite their past. The person who failed repeatedly before achieving success. The one who was told they would never amount to anything yet became extraordinary. The individual who made terrible mistakes yet rebuilt their life from the ashes. The one who was broken by circumstances yet emerged stronger than before. These people did not let their past define their future. They used their past as fuel for their transformation. They took their pain and turned it into purpose. They took their failures and turned them into lessons. They took their wounds and turned them into wisdom. Transformation does not require a perfect past. It requires a willing present. So whatever you have been, whoever you have been, however you have been, that is not who you have to remain. Your past is over. Your future is beginning. But you must cooperate with this process. You must be willing to let go of old identities and embrace new possibilities. This is perhaps one of the hardest parts of transformation, letting go of who you have been to become who you are meant to be. We become attached to our identities, even when those identities are painful. The person who has always been the failure may resist success because failure is familiar. The person who has always been the victim may resist empowerment because victimhood is comfortable. The person who has always been not enough may resist abundance because scarcity is what they know. But you are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not your mistakes. You are not what was done to you. You are a being of infinite potential, capable of transformation beyond your wildest imagination. The question is not whether you can change. The question is whether you will choose to change. Transformation begins with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a someday intention, a decision. A decision is a commitment that cuts off all other options. It is a declaration that this is the direction I am going and I will not be deterred. The word decide comes from the Latin word meaning to cut off. When you truly decide something, you cut off all other possibilities. You burn the boats. You close the back doors. You eliminate the escape routes. There is no plan B because plan B is a distraction from plan A. When you truly decide to change, resources appear, opportunities open, people show up, strength you did not know you had becomes available. Why? Because decision releases resources. When you are serious about your transformation, support becomes available. But as long as you are wishy-washy, as long as you are maybe tomorrow I will try, as long as you are half committed, you will not access the full power available for your change. You must burn the bridges to your past. You must cut off the option of retreat. You must say with conviction, I will not remain the same. I refuse to live another year at this level. I am committed to becoming who I was meant to be, regardless of the cost. Change is always resisted by your flesh, by your familiar environment, by forces that benefit from your bondage, and sometimes even by people who have grown comfortable with the old you. Expect this resistance. Do not be surprised by it, but do not be stopped by it either. Resistance is actually evidence that you are on the right track. If nothing is fighting your transformation, it is because your transformation does not threaten the status quo. But when you decide to step into your purpose, when you commit to becoming who you were meant to be, when you choose to live at the level of your potential, the universe takes notice. Every great transformation is accompanied by great resistance. Every significant change is opposed by significant forces. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are doing something important. The greater the resistance, the greater the significance of what you are trying to become. The forces of mediocrity want to keep you comfortable, complacent, and contained. They want you to believe that you are not capable of more, that you do not deserve better, that you should just accept things as they are. But I am here to tell you that this is a lie. You are capable of extraordinary things. You were designed for greatness. You carry within you seeds of potential that the world desperately needs. Do not let resistance stop you. Do not let opposition deter you. Do not let the voices of doubt, whether internal or external, silence the voice of your potential. You were made for more than mediocrity. You were designed for more than survival. You were created for transformation. And transformation is what you shall have if you refuse to quit. You did not come into this year to remain the same, because there is a generation counting on your transformation. There are people whose lives will be touched because you decided to change. There are problems that will be solved because you decided to grow. There are destinies that will be activated because you decided to pursue your purpose. This is your year of transformation. This is your season of change. This is your moment of decision. Will you remain the same, or will you cooperate with the agenda for your growth? Will you hold on to the comfortable dysfunction of yesterday, or will you step into the uncomfortable growth of tomorrow? I am calling you to make a decision today, not next week, not when you feel ready. Today, decide that you will not waste another year living below your potential. Decide that you will pursue transformation with the same intensity that transformation is pursuing you. Decide that you will become the person you were meant to be, regardless of the obstacles, the opposition, or the discomfort. And when you make this decision, commit to the process. Understand that transformation is not a one-time event, but a daily discipline. Every morning, you wake up and choose growth. Every challenge you face becomes an opportunity to develop new strength. Every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Every moment of discomfort becomes evidence that you are stretching beyond your current capacity. Surround yourself with resources that support your transformation. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to messages that inspire your faith in yourself. Attend events that expand your vision. Invest in coaching and mentorship that accelerate your growth. Your transformation is worth investing in. Do not be cheap with your development. The best investment you can make is not in stocks or real estate or cryptocurrency. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Every dollar you spend on your growth will return to you multiplied. Every hour you invest in your development will yield dividends for years to come. Every sacrifice you make for your transformation will be repaid 100-fold. The same force that brought you into this year is the same force that will sustain you through the process of transformation. You will not be given a vision and then be abandoned in the journey toward it. You will not be called to change and then be left to figure it out alone. Support is available every step of the way. When you feel weak, strength is available. When you feel inadequate, sufficiency is available. When you feel lost, guidance is available. When you feel discouraged, encouragement is available. You are not alone in this journey of transformation. The universe itself is conspiring for your success. Life itself is cheering for your growth. Everything that has ever been invested in you, every lesson, every experience, every relationship, every challenge has been preparing you for this moment. You are more ready than you think. You are more capable than you feel. You are more powerful than you know. So rise up today with a new determination. Shake off the dust of yesterday's limitations. Refuse to carry the identity of your past into the promise of your future. You did not come into this year to remain the same. You came here to become, to grow, to transform, to fulfill the magnificent purpose for which you were created. This is your year. This is your season. This is your time. Do not waste it. Remaining the same. Embrace the transformation. Pursue the growth. Become who you were meant to be. And watch as your decision to change creates a ripple effect that touches lives, changes circumstances, and advances everything good in this world. May you have the courage to change. May you have the strength to persevere. May you have the wisdom to navigate the process. And may you experience the joy of becoming the fullest expression of who you were meant to be. This is not the end of a message. This is the beginning of your transformation. This is your year of transformation.